Okay, so we're going to be looking at the edit functions here. So in the previous video, we had a look at the zoom tool, and now we're going to be looking at these. So to access the first one, which is the trim tool, you click on it or press F6. Now, before we start, there are a few other options here, which we're going to go into in another video, but for now, we're going to stick to the standard settings on each one. So number one is the trim. Now, with the trim, you can use it to either trim left or right on clips. Now, really important for dialogue editing or other clips where you might be given a clip like that to fit a scene, you can actually pull them out. If you've been given handles long enough, you can actually pull them out and see what's in there. Now, the biggest thing is you can't expand more than there is. You can't create more of a clip than there actually is. If you look here from what I recorded, you can only do as much as you're given. So that's the trim tool. Very important tool, it's great, absolutely fantastic. Now, the next one is the selector tool. Now, the selector selects. Now you can do various things, which we'll cover later with selecting. You can use it to zoom in, you can delete, that was just the delete key. You can do anything with it. And if you select just along this, you'll select one clip. If you go down while holding the mouse, you'll select them all, which helps in selecting multiple stuff. You can delete like that. Now, the next one, and that was F7, and now F8 is the grabber tool. Now, the grabber is what you use to move your clips around. Now, as long as the track matches, so I wouldn't be able to pull a mono into a stereo track, but as long as the track matches, then you'll be able to pull it into another track, or you just use it to move around like that. So that's the grabber tool. Now, very quickly, I'm just using Command-Z or Ctrl+Z on PC to undo what I'm doing there, just for the ease of the demonstration. Now, the big thing about Pro Tools is it has what's called a smart editing tool, which is this. If you click on that top little line there, it will link all three. Another way to activate it is if you press Escape, you can cycle through these and you will eventually get to it. Now, this links all three of these tools together, and it's a really powerful tool in Pro Tools Arsenal here. It's fantastic. Now, there are some editors who don't like using it. They prefer to manually edit and cycle between. I prefer using all three in the Smart tool. We're going to demonstrate how to do it. So when you have a clip here, if you look at the 0 line, that middle line there, use that as your point of reference in every clip. Now, with a stereo track, it will still be in the middle, with a mono track, it's still in the middle. Anything above this middle line will be your selector. So you can use it to select as normal. Now watch what happens when I go below that middle line. There, it turns into the grabber. So you can select, I don't know, delete, and then grab there. So that's, that's what you do to jump between the two. Now, if you go to the middle end of a clip, you have the trim. So you can trim it, click on it like that, or go the other side and trim. A good little thing to select a whole clip is you click once on the grabber and it'll select the whole thing. And if you hold Shift, you can select multiple. And yeah, just like that. But it will select them all as you go along like that, so just be aware. And if you do this, there we go, you can actually hold Shift and drag like this. And when you hold Shift, it will select as much as you want there, but all, and it'll link it. It's a really, really good tip. So hold Shift while you're dragging, and you'll do that. It's really, really good. So that's the trim and the selector. Now, if you go to the top right or top left, but we'll start with the top right of a clip, and you drag, see that little black and white box? Drag like that, then you'll have a fade out. And it fades out the volume based on that line right there. Now, the good thing is about fades is that if you don't like it, you can delete the fade. Or you can double click the fade and you can go into all of these functions. Now, we'll cover these in a different video, but you can actually alter how heavy the fades are or how fast they are or equal power, but we'll go through this another time. So that's a fade out and this is a fade in, as you can imagine. So you can have a fade out and a fade in. So if we solo this, It's a bit hard to hear, but obviously I've got, there we go. Get to hear my lovely guitar playing there. Now, this also brings us up to a couple of shortcuts to cover what we've just done. When I was talking about the selector, and that you can delete, if you press the letter A for alpha, you will delete everything to the left of where you've clicked with the selector tool. And if you press S for Sierra, you'll delete everything to the right. Now that I use every day, it's amazing. A and S, like this. If you press the letter B for Bravo, you'll add a break. So you'll add a little line wherever you've clicked. Now you can actually use this when you select, you can press B and move it, like this. So that's also a really, really handy tool, adding a break. So you can zoom in, I can put it on the grid, and then zoom in, and then cut this section there, and then move it around and play around with it. Now, another couple of shortcuts which are absolutely fantastic are shortcuts for fading. Now, if you press the letter D for delta, you'll do a fade in, like a default fade in to where you are. And if you press the letter G, you'll do a fade out. So those are absolutely great. But there is something that's really, really important, and there's something that I can't live without, to be honest. And that's what's called a crossfade. Now this is the final part of smart editing. Now a crossfade is when you cross two pieces together. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to just pull these over here for a second. And I'm going to copy this. Now what I just did there was I held Alt or Option on a Mac, Alt on a PC, and when you drag it, it'll actually copy it, which is great. So we've got two guitar riffs here, and what I'm going to do with a crossfade, you overlap them, and then if we just zoom in, the middle join there, if you go to the bottom, see it turns into that cross square, click it and drag, and it will crossfade, and it will fade one out while one fades in. Obviously it didn't sound amazing then, because we were crossfading two things which did not work into each other. I use crossfade to crossfade Atmos, or if I put in two clips together, I will do a 1 frame crossfade. Sometimes I'll do a 2 frame crossfade. I'll do really, really small ones to ensure that clips don't clip, or put a little unneeded pop in the middle, like that. Now, if you do try and crossfade too far, what will happen is you'll have an invalid fade. So you can either adjust the bounds or skip it and do it anyway. So if you skipped it, well, nothing happens, there we go. And if you do it like this and you adjust the bounds, there we go. The computer will actually help you out there. So that's crossfading. And the shortcut for that is the letter F. So we're gonna just pull this over again. And what you do is you select a section, press F. Oops, a bit far, there we go. So we got that. You can only crossfade, how much you've left yourself to actually crossfade. So if you do that, you can't crossfade more than this little area, because look, you'll get a little error. So that is the Smart tool, and hopefully this will help for all of your editing needs.